This is your math gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where all of my videos are organized by topic. Alright, in this video, we're going to show how to apply the fundamental identity in trigonometry. So here's the problem. If the sine of A equals negative 12/13 and A is in quadrant 4, find the cosine of A. Now, first of all, this can be done without using the fundamental identity. I'm going to do it that way first. You could say, well, A is in quadrant 4. And so you can say, well, let's see, if it's in quadrant 4 and the sign is negative 12/13, right? The sign's negative. That's got to be, the denominator has to be positive because that would be the hypotenuse, right? So I think of this as the opposite side. And so I kind of get the idea that this must be where A is, somewhere down here. I might go this way. I just know that's where the terminal side ends. I really don't know exactly where angle A is, but that's where the terminal side ends there. And so this would be 13. That would be negative 12, right? That would give me a sine of negative 12/13, opposite over hypotenuse. And then you could use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out this is 5. This is the special triangle. And you would be able to figure out that the cosine of A was 5/13. So the answer would be that the cosine of A equals 5/13 by drawing this picture. So I've done this without using the fundamental identity. It involved drawing a picture. And to be honest, that's how I would usually do it personally. All right, but some people would prefer to write an equation using the fundamental identity. So let's do the problem again. So if I want to use the fundamental identity, well, what is the fundamental identity? The sine squared of theta, and I'm going to use A in this case, because remember it's an identity for whatever angle we've got, has got to equal 1, always. All right, so what do I know here? I know that the sine of A is negative 12/13, so I'm just going to plug that in. Negative 12/13, and remember sine squared A means you take the sine of A and you square it. Plus the cosine squared A is equal to 1. So we're going to try to find out the cosine of A. So this will be 144/169, because you'd have to square the 12 and square the 13, and when you square a negative, you get positive. Plus cosine squared A equals 1. And I'm going to subtract 144/169 from both sides. So I'll have cosine squared A equals 1 minus that. Now, I know I'm going to have to get a common denominator. So instead of writing 1, I'm going to get a common denominator of 1/69. So that would be 169/169. So that's just this number 1 right here. Okay? And then I have 144/169. Right? That's what I'm subtracting from both sides. So I have the cosine squared A equals, what does that give you? 25/169. So I've got the cosine squared of A. Now, if you've got the cosine, if you have something squared equaling a number and you're solving an equation, remember you could take the square roots of both sides and you would put plus or minus. But in this case, think about what quadrant we're in. Okay, so in quadrant 4, is the cosine going to be positive or negative? Well, it's going to be positive. Some of you might remember all students, oops, I said students and wrote a T. All students take calculus. Remember that cosine is positive in quadrant 4, and the sine and tangent are not. All right, so it's going to be positive here. Another way I think of it is over to the right, right? So the first and fourth quadrant, that's where the x's are positive. Cosine goes with the x's, so it's going to be positive. So if I really want to know the cosine of A, even though if you were just solving some equation like x squared equals 25/169, there would be 2 solutions, right? But this, there's only one solution. And because it's in quadrant 4, then the cosine of A is going to be the square root of that, which is 5/13. Now, some people actually solve it and write cosine of A equals plus or minus 5/13, and then they say the final answer is 5/13. It's up to you, but you know the final answer is only 5/13. There's only one solution here for the cosine of A when A is in quadrant 4 and the sine is negative 12/13. And if you recall, that's how I did it by drawing a picture right here. Whoops. Okay, I drew a picture and I figured out that it was that the cosine of A was 5/13. Personally, it's easier for me to draw a picture, but it's nice to be able to do it more than one way. This is your math gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where all of my videos are organized by topic.